What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of this 4-part video series of The 4 Agreements, a book written by Don Miguel Ruiz. And today we're going to be talking about agreement number 2. Growing up, we're so conditioned by other people to take things so personally. And the truth is, when people say positive or negative things about you or towards you, it really has nothing to do with you at all, but it's about them and their beliefs and their views on the world. People can feed you emotional garbage all they want, but if you decide to take it personally, you'll end up eating that all up and it becomes your poison, and that poison will consume you. So as you can see, the second agreement from Don Miguel Ruiz is don't take anything personally. So what happens when you take things personally? I think in this age of social media and with a lot of what we see today, it's quite obvious how people react. They feel offended, and then second, they get really defensive, and then they start to protect their beliefs, and then they get themselves fired up over conflict. Huge feeling of negativity consumes them, and it just takes them over. It started over something that's very, very little. The dynamic starts out as someone saying something about you, or they'll even bring up a conflicted belief in a very manner towards you as well. And then what happens is you take it personally, you feel offended, and then you defend yourself and your position, and you fire back. And then the other person gets offended by the way you reacted to being offended by them, and then they even say something even shittier. And the whole conflict goes down that it's completely unnecessary. And all this really does at the end of the day is make either parties or many parties, depending on what the dynamic of the scenario is like, it makes them all feel like and then it leads to more negative energy and more resentment that consumes you. I can give you a little bit of a personal example right over here. When I was very young, I got made fun of a lot for being hairy, as you can see by my legs and by my arms and by my chest. I'm a very hairy man, and it didn't just pop up in my adulthood. I've been hairy as since about 5th grade, roughly 4th grade. Always been the hairiest one in my class. Still to this day, I still am the hairiest person that I know, which is hilarious. I got picked on a lot for this, especially in middle school and in high school as well. I get picked on for this all the time. And I used to take it personally. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna bullshit you. I used to take it personally back then. And I would feel miserable about myself and miserable about my body and how I looked. In fact, I would even wear long pants to gym class instead of wearing shorts because I wanted to hide the body hair on my legs. I felt very insecure about this, and I was always miserable about myself, and I just wasn't happy. Then finally, when I went to college, I decided to say fuck it, and I let go of this insecurity because I really realized at the end of the day that the people I was surrounding myself with back in high school, and on top of that, getting made fun of for being so hairy, was actually just a reflection of those other people. Because at the end of the day, misery loves company. And when other people are toxic and feel down about themselves, they want to bring others down with them. And so, with that being said, what other people say, especially what other people say about you, is always going to be a reflection of themselves and not you. Because they're them and you're you. So when you make a strong habit to not take shit personally, you will be immune to all emotional poison in this world. So now if I just ended the video right over here, just saying, all right, guys, don't take anything personally, like a lot of these other preachers and self-help gurus you'll see on YouTube and on podcasts and all that, you may even get some resistance from this video if I were to end it just right here. You'd be thinking to yourself, Sheshin, yeah, I mean, I've heard this before, but I feel emotions very heavily. How do I just not take things personally? Or I've even heard, well, I'm not in a good place mentally, and this is just how I am. I can't just stop taking things personally. And this is where I will challenge your resistance to what I have to say, and what the typical response would be. This is where I'm going to challenge that. You are not your thoughts, and you are not your feelings. In fact, your thoughts on yourself a lot of times are what has been conditioned into your head at such a young age by your family, by your teachers, by your peers, cousins, whoever the So what I'm about to do right now to be able to kind of visualize and structure this out for you so you can get a better understanding of how to not take things personally. we're going to go back to the model of alignment, which I introduced to you all in the previous video in part 1 of the 4 agreements. So with the model of alignment, I'm going to show you a proper structure on how to start practicing not to take things personally. I'm not going to get too much in depth with the model of alignment this time. I mean, you're going to see it in about a minute. But what I will say, if you want to learn more about this model of alignment and how it's very helpful, I will have links in the description below to part 1 of this video series where I do introduce the model of alignment a little bit more properly. And also I'll have another link for an IGTV post I made the other week of a journaling method that I use that uses the model of alignment. So I'll have those links below. But with that being said, let's get into the model of alignment. So using the example that I shared with you all from my high school experience with me getting picked on for having a hairy body and all that, here is the model of alignment in regards to that thought process. I'll show you all the unconscious thought process, which is what I had in high school versus once I went to college and started letting go of the negative self-talk and believing what people were making fun of me for, and also just being able to take that personally versus not taking it personally after college. I'll show you all just like the difference of the thought process behind that, and you can see how we can implement it with your life as well when you think about the things that maybe you take personally. So we got a circumstance, thoughts to our feelings, then lead to our actions, which finally lead to our results. Someone calls me hairy. Let's say someone calls me a hairy monkey. I got called a hairy monkey a lot back in high school. So there you go. Thoughts on that? Well, let's see. What would the thought pattern be for? Oh, I'm ugly, or I'm unattractive. I'm a freak. Them. They're a piece of shit. One of the feelings would be feeling offended, right? We talked about that. Feeling offended, feeling defensive, and it all comes back to a feeling of lack of self-worth. Since I made an agreement with myself to take it personally, the actions that would get created by those feelings would be, less confident at social gatherings. That was definitely a huge one. So, some ways that I would show that I was less confident is definitely being more quiet and shy, or even like doing silly things for attention. Me not being my full self. Come on. So me not being my full self, because I couldn't really be my full self because my thoughts were limiting myself from being my full self, my full potential, my full who I am as a being, not just as a mind, but also as a body and a spirit. So that's pretty much what the result would lead to, me not being my full self. So the thought pattern right over here now would be, oh, they never seen a hairy man before. Oh, they probably don't have that many Middle Eastern friends. And a lot of the thought patterns just be owning it too. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm a fucking hairy guy. You know what I mean? Like, thanks for pointing out the obvious. What sort of feeling would that give me? I just felt overall good, happy, like happiness, positivity, feeling more in touch with myself. It led to actions. It led me to be confident. We take the word less over here, confident at social gatherings. Outgoing instead of quiet and shy. Doing silly things for attention. Well, that just changed into doing silly things from my own perception at social gatherings. So I was just more in touch with my true self. I'm a funny guy. I like to crack fucking jokes and all that shit. And I just did it because it was coming from me, not because I really wanted anything out of other people. I guess for my own perception wasn't really the right word. Doing silly things for no reason. Doing silly things for no reason, pretty much. I was just my true fun self, because I was more in touch with myself and I didn't really care what other people thought about my body hair. And the results, well, instead of not being my full self, being my full self in regards to that. So, the actions led to the results of me being my full self at social gatherings and all that, in regards to whenever people point out my hairy body, because I just didn't really care as much. with that being said, my call to action for those of you who are watching this YouTube video today, and I assume if you are watching this YouTube video, you are probably into self-growth, you are into self-discovery, you do have an interest in bettering your life. So my call to action for you today, if you're watching this, you've already gone to part 2 of this 4-part series of this video. Take some time out of your morning to start doing the model of alignment. Think about the things that people have said to you before. And think about the thought pattern that comes into your head when that happens. And then what sort of feelings does that give you? And let's try to let go of the thoughts that you're attached to about yourself. Because when you do that, all those negative beliefs, once those start going away, you will take things less personally. It'll affect your internal life moving forward. And with that, your external world around you will change. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Please share this with someone that you love. Please share this with someone that you think could benefit from this video. If you give me a thumbs up as well, I really would appreciate it. I'd appreciate if you don't give me a thumbs down, but hey, if you really didn't like it, I can't take it personally if you didn't. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, though, I salute you all. Much love, and I'll see you all for part 3 of the 4 agreements. Anyways, I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.